look at verses 24 and 26. It's in Matthew chapter 7, if you want to turn there. I'm sorry. Matthew chapter 7. Okay, we're up and running. 24 and 26. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. So in this story, there's a lot of things that are common with these two men. All right, they're both building a house. So that's very common. In this, they both started out on a project of building the house. Now, I've never been involved in building new construction. Never been involved in building a new house. We've had some additions, a time or two, and that kind of thing, but I've never been involved in building a new house. I am going to assume, so I can't speak from experience, that if you are building a house, you are going to take all the care that you can that it's built correctly, that it's solid, that kind of thing. And I think that you're going to take an interest in that. Now, these two men, I don't, there's no reason for the guy that built his on the sand except for he was lazy. He was lazy, he didn't care. Now, whenever we go to the beach, one of the things that I do, and it sounds corny, I know, but I'll go out and I will stand in the water and kind of dig in a little bit, and as the waves come up, it will eventually wash the sand out from under your feet. You don't even on the back of your feet. It will wash the sand out from under your feet. So why on earth would a person build a house on sand with no foundation? Jesus tells us why they didn't. He says that the one that builds on the rock is wise. He says one that builds on the sand is foolish. So why did these men choose to do things the way they did? They both heard the same message. Both of them heard it. Once again, I think they both heard that it's lazy. But the lesson, the warning that Jesus is giving to us is that we need to build on a solid foundation. If we want to have a house that stands, you build it on Jesus' teachings. So what he said, the wise man listens to my teachings and obeys my teachings. The foolish man listens to my teachings and does things on his own. And it's interesting here to see that Jesus doesn't say, okay, the foolish man built his house on this teaching or that teaching, whatever. You know why he does it? Because Jesus is saying, if you build your life on anything except for his teaching, is going to fail. That's what he's saying. It's going to fail. Both men heard the story and both men acted differently. Now let's see the result. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house. It's verse 25 and 27. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Verse 27, the rain came down, the streams arose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash because it was built on the sand. Once again, same story, two different reactions. So what can we learn from this? Storms are going to happen. That's what Jesus is saying. Storms are coming. There's things going to happen in your life. Now, as a side note here, and I think I was going to save this till the end of the sermon, but as a side note here, there are so many teachings that say, hey, you become a Christian, your life's going to be rosy. No, it's not. No, it's not. And as Christians, we sometimes wonder, and we'll ask God, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? We need to be prepared. That's why one house stood and the other one didn't. They were prepared. So the first thing that we can learn from this, storms are going to come. Storms are going to come. And no matter how good the weather is when you build your house, no matter how good it is and you think, hey, it's going to be like this forever. No, it's not. No, it's not. Examples, you build a house in Canada, you got to prepare for snow. You build a house in Florida, you need to prepare for hurricanes. However, both have occurred in each place. There may not be a storm today, but storms are going to come. Jesus tells us in Matthew 5:45, then you will be children of your Father who is in heaven. He causes his sun to shine on evil people and good people. He sends rain on those who do right and those who don't. It's going to rain on both the just and the unjust. There's always, I saw this quote this week, there's always a storm. There's always going to be some rain. Some experience it, some live through it, and others are made from it. So don't buy into the teaching that as a Christian your life is going to be rosy forever, because it's not. It's not. So the next thing that we learn, the best time to prepare for the storm is before the storm. It's like people that don't fix their roof when the sun's shining. I have a sermon, and I don't think I've ever preached it here. I titled it, Turn on the Wipers, the Sun's Shining. Turn on the wipers, the sun's shining. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but how many have ever been in the rain, turned your windshield wipers on, and they stink? They stink. You can't see nothing because your windshield wipers are worn out. But you know what? It stops raining. You park your car in the garage or in your driveway, whatever the case may be. The sun comes out, you start your car, you go on about your life, and you don't do anything about the windshield wiper. You don't change it. You don't go get a new one. But the next time it rains, you turn that windshield wipers on and it still stinks. You still can't see anything. Well, I'm telling you right now, storms are going to happen in your life. You need to be prepared. You need to change that windshield wiper. We just think it's out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. So, whenever we go through life, and one thing that I've found is that people's prayer lives are so much better when they're going through a storm than they are when they're not. We just become closer because we know that we need it more. It comes to the front. Whenever things are going well, we don't do anything about it. Now, here's an interesting fact. Anybody in here, and I will ask you to show your hands, does anybody in here get motion sickness? Anybody at all? All right? Our daughter-in-law does. Our daughter-in-law gets motion sickness. And before she travels, she takes Dramamine. And you know what the direction is on the side of the Dramamine box? To prevent motion sickness, the first dose should be taken 1/2 to 1 hour before starting activity. That is the direction off of the container, the Dramamine container. It doesn't say you wait till you get sick to take your first dose. It doesn't say that. You take it before starting activity. Well, you know what, your Christian life, which is so much more important, don't wait until you get in the storm to start the first dose. Don't wait until you get in the storm. Do it before. So if you're not going through a storm right now, start it. Start taking that dose. Now, Luke's account is a little the same, but it's also a little bit different. And in Luke's account, here's what it says. They're like a man who builds a house. He digs down deep and sets it on solid rock. Goes through and tells the same thing. But the only thing I want to take out of this in Luke's account is that he digs down deep. You know, that's why we don't spend more time preparing. That's why we don't spend more time preparing for the storms that come in our life. Why? Because we have to dig down deep. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We've become a culture and an age that wants everything easy. We want it simple. Hey, you got a pill to fix that? Give that to me. You know, you got something that, an easy way to do this, that's what I want. Luke says the man had to dig down deep. The only way to build on the foundation, to dig down deep. We can get this from Paul, and I don't have this verse up there. In Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20, it says, "Together we are his house, built on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets, and the cornerstone is Christ Jesus himself." The foundation, the apostles and the prophets. So how do we build on the foundation of the apostles and the prophets? We read the Bible. You spend time reading the scriptures. Read what they wrote and apply it to your lives. Now, I'm not going to ask from a show of hands how many people this week picked up the Bible and read it. How many people picked up the Bible and read it? How about prayer? Prayer is another way to dig down deep and make sure that we build on that foundation is in prayer. Once again, stop and think. How much time did you spend in prayer? Was it minutes? Was it hours that you spent in prayer this week? That's how you get through the storms. That's how you prepare for the storms, you know. And I heard a guy say one time that, when he calls someone, and if he calls a friend, he doesn't even have to tell him who it is because he recognizes his voice. And to me, that's kind of the way it is with prayer. I want to make sure that God recognizes my voice when I'm calling him. So I really try to pray as much as I can. And worship, we've already hit that hard this morning. Making sure that you are right here to hear the word. Not because of me, but because anytime the word is preached, it's a good thing. So if you're not doing that, if you're not doing those things, you can't change that except for to start today. Make sure that you start today. You know, you've heard it said the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. And if you didn't, plant one today. So the next thing that we look at, that we can learn from this, is the results of the storm are going to be different for each and every one of us. Verses 25 and 27, the rain came down, the streams rose, the winds blew and beat against the house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Verse 27, the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash because it was built on the sand. Everybody goes through a storm differently. We need to understand that everyone's life experiences, what they have built their lives on, have decided how they're going to go through the storms. And oftentimes we try to tell people, oh, well, that's not that bad. That, you shouldn't know. How a person goes through a storm is going to be different than the way you go through a storm. Just like these two men heard the same message, but it affected them differently. So we need to be careful when we tell someone the way they ought to feel. Finally, the most important point is that Jesus is with us in the storm. Verse 24, he says, anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds his house on the rock. Don't ever forget that Jesus is with us in the storm. Sometimes we know the storms are coming. Sometimes they hit us by surprise. But we need to remember that Jesus is with us every time. Every time, if we put his words into practice. So we need to take a close look at what our foundation is built on. In John 16:33, Jesus said, I have told you all this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I have overcome the world. Right there it is. If anyone tells you anything that Christianity is smooth sailing, the truth is, and Christ tells us right here, you will have many trials and sorrows. There's a warning right there. You will have many trials and sorrows. And we don't like to hear that. In this age where everything is self-help and you can live a life that's rosy and all that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Jesus doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't make it sound simple. He tells you the truth. That you're going to have hard times. You're going to have tears. You're going to have heartaches. That there's things that are going to happen. But he says, hey, it's okay. It's okay. I've got this. I've been through this. Take heart because I have overcome the world. Well, storms are coming. Storms are coming. That's the warning. I wish I could tell you that from here on out that your life's going to be smooth sailing. Things are going to be easy, but it's not. It's not. And the way that you prepared for it is your life built on the solid rock of Jesus Christ. If not, it's crunch time. If not, right now is the time to make that decision that you need to turn your life to Him. Is He going to take the storms away? No. Oh. No, He says He says you're going to have them. But He's been through every storm that we've ever been through. He knows what we need in those times. So think about that as we sing our invitation hymn today, which is actually turn your eyes to Him. Turn your eyes on Jesus. We'll sing that through one time. If you have a decision to make, please come and make it. Don't leave today without making it. I'll just go ahead and do them. All right. Zoom meeting. I really encourage you just one time to get on that. If you're not happy with it, then don't ever do it again. But I encourage you to try it one time because it's such a blessing. This last Wednesday night, there was only 3 of us. It was me, Eunice Golden, and Mary Lou. The stories. I learned so much the other night, just the wisdom of those 2 ladies. And I sent out an invitation and an email. And if you're not on that chain, my email address is on the back page of the bulletin. Send me a note and I'll get you on that chain. I really encourage you to, because it's encouraging to me. I feel like it could be encouraging to you. Camp registration, back on the table, on the back table. Camp's going strong. We were down there yesterday and helped out. So good to see kids walking around that place again. So good. Tuesday, we cooked down there at Oil Bell. Linda has it all set up. She'll let you know what time to be there and that kind of thing. Oblong Children's Home needing food items. The next thing, Janet and I will be on vacation next week, so Tyler's going to be here to talk about the camp. Really strongly urge you to come and to talk to him. Ask him questions about the camp, or you could ask him questions about me. Now you can find out if what I'm telling you up here is true. But he could tell you stories on the old man. I can tell you that. Matter of fact, I want to tell one. We got time. Yesterday, I went and I hauled a mower for the camp down at Fairfield that we worked on, and I'm, tying it down. Tyler comes up and says, hey, I'll take care of it, Dad, don't worry about it. So anyway, the assistant, the guy that helps him, Brady, comes up, and he said, Brady, let me tell you a story about that. Long story short, one time whenever he mowed yards in town, one of my straps came loose and the lawnmower fell off the back of the trailer. So he told that story to Brady yesterday. Old Brady, he looked at me and his eyes were about that big. Tyler said, that's why I do this. That's okay. All right. Wednesday night, June 30th. Please make sure that you put this on your schedule, that you put this on your calendar. the Pollards and the Gulliges are going to be here and talk about their mission trip to Mexico, where they went down, and I think they built 2 homes, not just one. And it's just so exciting to hear them talk about it, to see the looks on their faces and in their eyes whenever they talk about this. And they're going to share that, and who knows? It might encourage you to go down there with them. They're going to get down again in December of this year. So Wednesday night, June the 30th at 6:30. Please, let's fill this building up. Okay, the birthdays are there. Braden, happy birthday. Glad to see you. Is there any other announcements that we need to make? Anything else? Okay, if you would stand, we will close out with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you so much. You're such a great God. And Father, it's my prayer that each and every one of us are preparing ourselves for those storms whenever they show up. Father, it's my prayer that if we weren't before, it's my prayer that after today, that we all will be spending more time in the Word and prayer, and we will come to worship and to praise you. Once again, we want to give you honor and glory. Be with those that aren't here this morning, Lord. You know the reasons why, especially the ones that are sick and are unable to be here. Thank you once again for your Son. We're so glad that you allowed him to die on the cross to cover our sins so that we can be in heaven with you forever. And it's in his name that I pray. Amen.